Welcome back. Now, the Mining Indaba 2026 has kicked off under the theme Stronger Together, Progress Through Partnerships, a theme highlighting the importance of the industry as an ecosystem. And arguably right now, one of our strongest ecosystems is our mining industry. The recent commodity rally could boost taxes by 20 billion rand per year over the next 2 years, largely driven by the gold and PGM market. Mzila Mthenjane is the CEO of the Minerals Council of South Africa. He joins us from the Indaba in Cape Town with his assessments of the industry's prospects. Mzila, hi, good to have you on Business Day TV. Now, it's a different year this year because commodity prices are soaring, miners are smiling. What are you looking at discussing this year? Because it's a bit of a celebratory mood.
No, thank you very much for having me, Ray. And I mean, I think certainly it's no surprise that miners are excited about, the soaring gold and PGM prices. But it's really cautiously optimistic, given that it is a cyclical industry. We're coming from a history where PGMs have really been in the doldrums for a period of about 2 years to 3 years. And I think this turnaround is really encouraging. And what we're seeing as well in the gold industry is that miners are using, this moment to pay back debt and therefore strengthening their balance sheets. They are able to restart dividend payments, which I think is great for shareholders. And they're really being careful around how they then approach growth, looking firstly at low risk opportunities such as brownfields, which are the opportunities in the immediate surrounds of their operations before they look at M&A. I think it bodes well for the industry. And in our launch earlier today of our facts and figures, our president, Mr. Paul Dunn, did indicate that, we foresee a multi-year price uptick in the commodities.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that, get those balance sheets right. If I think back a year or two, Sabania, there's a nice example right there. Things were battling. We were looking at people possibly being laid off. So this will now cement our mining industry, regardless what happens in 6 months' time. This will cement our mining industry for a very long time.
No, so this is really inspiring confidence, and especially if we are going to take that longer term outlook. And I mean, the point you make around, the need for the industry in earlier years having to pare down on its capacity, which resulted in people losing employment. So now for the long term, we certainly can see, a recapacitating of those mining operations. But I think more importantly, it's about beginning to invest in the building of future mines, which then provides for an expansion of new mines. And that investment is really have to start with exploration. And this has been a subject of conversation at the Mining Indaba.
Yeah, it's interesting that you say that, Mzila, because developing our mines, one of the questions I've been asking quite a bit over the last few weeks in various interviews is, are we going to expand now? Is it the time to expand? Is it, or do we need to be more cautious?
No, it absolutely is. And I mean, I could also say only if we had started earlier. All right. And so, timing is everything in the market, but you can't always time it. And so what we do need to do, and lessons from the past, is consistently do the right thing. And so we are working with the DMPR in terms of, and government generally, to make sure that we build the right environment from a policy and infrastructure to encourage investment and to rebuild confidence into the mining industry. So this is absolutely the right time.
Yeah. What are some of the headwinds facing miners at the moment? Obviously, at the moment, we're talking about the positives because we have the soaring platinum or gold or silver prices. But what are some of the headwinds? What's keeping miners up at night?
I think the biggest one will probably be just the geopolitical uncertainty. And we've seen how mining has found itself at the center of those geopolitics. But at the same time, I think it can also be an inspiration to mining and commodity prices. So there will be a mixed response from the mining sector in terms of those geopolitics. But to a large extent, I think the one big issue we have to address, both for South Africa and the continent, is the issue of infrastructure. And this is really going to present more of a constraint to growth and expansion at the pace that is required to meet the future needs and demands of these commodities. And this is another key topic of conversation. And I think for the continent, it's absolutely critical that we create the right environment to incentivize investment in both mining and the infrastructure that's required to serve mining.
Yeah, it's interesting that you say that. Transnet saying last week that they're going to turn the corner now. They're going to have a profit for the first time in a long time. That's great for miners because it looks like that infrastructure is taking shape.
No, that is great. I mean, we've seen the turnaround in Transnet over the past 2 years, reaching a low of about 150 million tons from a peak previously about 8 years ago of 226. They do have a target to 2030 of 250 million tons. And I think this year or the fiscal year ending March next year, they're expecting to do better than the previous year. Whilst it may not be where they expect it to be, I think that trajectory is one that we're very encouraged with. And I think the partnerships that they've established with our members in terms of addressing some of their challenges is really what has contributed to this performance.
Yeah, Mzila, thank you so much for joining us on Business Lunch. We do appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. That was the CEO of the Minerals Council South Africa, Mzila Mthenjane.